This is one of the most common conversations I have with families who are planning to relocate to Austin. They come to me and they say, Megan, do we want to live inside Austin or should we look at the suburbs? And I love this question because the honest answer is it really depends on your family and your lifestyle. There's no right or wrong answer, but there are definitely things you need to know before you decide. So today I'm laying it out for you, the real pros and cons of living inside Austin versus living in the suburbs from the perspective of someone who works in this market every single day and helps families make exactly this decision. I've also lived in the most walkable area of the city and in the suburbs, so I've got experience with both. We're talking about space, schools, commute, lifestyle, cost, community, and everything in between. Hey guys, I'm Megan Holley. I'm a local Austin Realtor. Let's get started. First, let me just define what we are talking about when I say inside the city versus the suburbs, because Austin is a big metro area and the lines can get blurry. When I say inside Austin or inside the city, I'm generally talking about neighborhoods within the Austin city limits, like South Austin, East Austin, North Loop, the Domain, Mueller, Hyde Park, Westlake. These are urban and close-in areas where you're right in the mix of Austin's culture and energy. When I say the suburbs, I'm talking about the communities that surround Austin, such as Round Rock, Cedar Park, Leander, Georgetown, and Pflugerville to the north, Bee Cave, Lakeway, Steiner Ranch, and Dripping Springs to the west, and Kyle and Buda to the south, and we have Manor to the east. These are their own cities and communities with their own identities, typically offering more space, newer construction, and often top-rated school districts. Now, both are part of the greater Austin Metro. Both give you access to everything Austin has to offer, but the day-to-day experience of living in each is really quite different. So let's start with inside the city. Let's start with the good stuff. What are the real advantages of living inside Austin proper? Pro number one, you are in it. The culture, the energy, the things that make Austin Austin, the live music, the food scene, the festivals, the weirdness, you're right there. South Congress, Rainy Street, 6th Street, East Austin, Barton Springs, Zilker Park, all of it's accessible without a major drive. If that Austin vibe is part of why you're moving here, living inside the city means you actually get to live it every day and not just visit on the weekends. Pro number two, walkability and lifestyle convenience. Inside Austin is where you can find the most walkable neighborhoods. You can walk to coffee shops, restaurants, bars, parks, gyms. If you love the idea of a neighborhood where you can walk out your front door and actually go places, inside Austin is where that exists. Pro number three, commute for downtown workers. If your job is downtown or near the University of Texas or in the tech corridors close to the city center, living inside Austin means a much shorter commute. For people who are in the office every single day, that time savings adds up significantly over the course of a year. Less time in the car means more time for everything else. Pro number four, diversity and culture. Austin proper is one of the most diverse and culturally rich cities in Texas. There is an incredible food scene representing cuisines from all over the world, a thriving art scene, incredible live music, literally every night of the week, and a general open-minded, accepting vibe that a lot of people relocating from larger coastal cities can really appreciate. Keep Austin weird, that spirit is real and lives inside the city. Pro number five, investment potential in established neighborhoods. Some of Austin's most established neighborhoods inside the city have shown really strong long-term appreciation. Being close to downtown and to the university and to major employment centers, these fundamentals support home values over the long term. South Austin, East Austin, and some central neighborhoods have seen significant appreciation over the past decade and have strong long-term demand. Okay, now for the real talk. What are the downsides of living in Austin? Con number one, price per square foot. This is the big one. Inside Austin, your dollar buys you less house. The median home price sits around $595,000 in Austin proper, and you're looking at about 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, a smaller lot and an older home. If square footage and a big backyard is a priority for your family, inside Austin is going to feel a little tight for the money. Con number two, the school districts. This is really important for families, and I want to be straightforward with you about it. Austin ISD, which covers most of Austin proper, has more variability in school quality than some of the suburban districts. There are excellent schools in Austin ISD, but there are also more variation from campus to campus. I love to recommend that families search specific sites such as greatschools.org rather than relying on the district names alone. Many of the suburban districts like Leander, Round Rock, and Lake Travis ISD have a lot of consistency across the board, which gives families more predictability. Con number 3, space. Smaller lots, smaller homes, less storage, smaller yards. If your kids need room to run around, if you want a pool, if you want a 3-car garage, inside the city, it gets expensive to get all of that. The suburbs give you a whole lot more space for your money. Con number 4, traffic and parking. Austin's traffic is no joke. I-35 and MoPac are notorious and they affect the whole city. But inside the city, parking can also be a real challenge, especially in the more popular neighborhoods. If you have multiple cars, family managing parking in some of the denser urban neighborhoods, that adds a layer of friction to your daily life. Con number 5, property taxes. Inside the city, Austin proper has some of the higher combined property tax rates in the metro because you're paying city taxes on top of the county and school district taxes. Buyers sometimes don't realize this until closing. It's worth running the full tax numbers for any specific address before you commit. Con number 6, older homes and maintenance. A lot of the housing stock inside Austin proper is older, 1950s through about the 70s, and that character can be charming, but it often means higher maintenance costs, outdated systems, and renovation expenses. Buyers coming from newer construction in other cities sometimes underestimate what it takes to really maintain an older home. All right, let's talk about the suburbs. And I want to challenge any preconceived notions you might have about what suburbs mean, because Austin suburbs in 2026 are incredible communities in their own right. Pro number 1, more house for your money. This is huge. In Round Rock, Cedar Park, Leander, or Georgetown, your $700,000 to $800,000 gets you about 3,000 to 4,000 square feet, 4 or 5 bedrooms, and a real backyard, 3-car garage, and often a pool. For families relocating from high cost of living cities, this amount of home you get for your money in the Austin suburbs is really shocking in the best possible way. Pro number 2, top-rated school districts. This is where the suburbs really shine for families. Leander ISD, Round Rock, Lake Travis, Georgetown ISDs. These districts are consistently ranked among the best in the state. If predictable, high-quality education from elementary school all the way through high school is your top priority, the suburban school districts deliver that in a really consistent way. I like to direct families again to greatschools.org to do their own research on the suburban districts in Austin and how they usually rate. Pro number 3, newer construction and lower maintenance. Most of the housing stock in the Austin suburbs was built in the 1990s through today. That means newer systems, better energy efficiency, modern layouts, and lower maintenance costs. And for families who do not want to deal with the headaches of an older home, newer construction in the suburbs is a really compelling option. And right now, builders are offering incentives like rate buydowns, closing cost credits, free upgrades that make new construction even more attractive. Pro number 4, master plan communities and amenities. The suburbs around Austin have some incredible master plan communities. Steiner Ranch, Wolf Ranch in Georgetown, Treviso and Cedar Park, Santa Rita Ranch and Liberty Hill. These communities have resort-style pools, miles of trails, community centers, parks, and built-in social infrastructure that make it really easy to plug in and meet people. For families relocating from out of state who are nervous about building a social life in a new place, these communities can make that so much easier. Pro number 5, space and a slower pace. The suburbs offer a quality of life that is really different from city living. More space, quieter streets, less density. If your vision of home includes kids playing outside in a big yard, evening walks through a neighborhood with mature trees, and a community where neighbors actually know each other, the suburbs deliver that in a way that is really hard to replicate inside the city. Pro number 6, lower property tax rates in some areas. This one surprises people, but it's really worth knowing. Some suburban areas, particularly those outside Austin city limits, have lower combined tax rates than inside Austin because you're not paying the city of Austin tax rate. Bee Cave, for example, has a notably lower tax rate than Austin city limits. And I always like to verify the specific tax rate for any address you are considering. And now the honest downside of suburban living, because there are some real ones and I want you to go in with eyes wide open. Con number one, the commute. This is the big one, and I don't want to sugarcoat it. If you're working downtown or in central Austin every day, living in the suburbs means a commute. Depending on where you're coming from, that could be 30 minutes on a good day or 45 to 60 minutes or more during rush hour. Traffic on 620, 183, and I-35 can be a lot. This is the trade-off that every suburban family is making: more house and more space in exchange for more time in the car. Now, if you are remote or hybrid, this con basically disappears. And a lot of families in the Austin suburbs have adjusted their schedules to avoid the worst of rush hour. But if you need to be downtown at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, the commute is a real factor and you need to test it before you commit to a neighborhood. Con number two, less walkability. The suburbs are car dependent. You're going to drive for almost everything: groceries, restaurants, activities, while the master plan communities are getting better at incorporating retail and dining into the neighborhoods. You're generally not walking to a coffee shop or a restaurant from your front door, the way that you might inside the city. For some people, this is a total non-issue. For people coming from a walkable urban environment, it can be quite an adjustment. Con number three, you are further from Austin's culture and nightlife. The live music on 6th Street, the bar scene on Rainey, the restaurants on South Congress, the festivals at Zilker Park, all of that is accessible from the suburbs, but it requires planning and a drive. If you want to be spontaneous about Austin's cultural scene on, let's say, a Tuesday night, living in the suburbs will add a little bit of friction to that. Most suburban families tend to do those things intentional on the weekends rather than spontaneous driving during the week. Con number four, some areas are still developing. Parts of the outer suburbs, particularly the fastest growing areas in Georgetown, Liberty Hill, and some parts of Leander, are still developing, and their retail, restaurant, and amenity infrastructure is still growing. You might be in a gorgeous new home in a beautiful community, but driving 20 minutes for a decent dinner. This is changing rapidly as these cities grow, but it's worth knowing now what is already there versus what is still to come. Okay, I've given you all the pros and cons. Now let me help you figure out which option actually fits your family, because ultimately this is not about which is objectively better. It's about which matches your life. You should seriously consider inside Austin if you work downtown or in central Austin every day, and the commute would be brutal from the suburbs. If walkability and being close to the cultural heartbeat of the city is a top priority, if you do not have kids yet, or your kids are older and schools are not the primary driver, if you value an eclectic urban neighborhood with character and charm over square footage, you should seriously consider the suburbs if you have kids and top-rated schools are your number one priority. If you want maximum space for your money, bigger home, bigger yard, and more room to breathe. If you are remote or hybrid and the commute is not a major daily concern. If you love the idea of a community with built-in amenities, neighbors you actually know, and an active family lifestyle. And if you're relocating from a high cost of living city and want to truly maximize the value of what Texas living can offer you, the suburbs are where that really shows up. And here's the thing, for a lot of families I work with, especially those coming from larger cities like LA, San Francisco, New York, or Chicago, when they actually visit the Austin suburbs, they are blown away because the suburbs here are not what they expected. They're vibrant, beautiful, amenity-rich communities with really good schools and a quality of life that is hard to find anywhere else at this price point in the country. So there you have it, the real pros and cons of living inside Austin versus the suburbs in 2026. There's no wrong answer here. The right choice is one that fits your family's lifestyle, your budget, your commute situation, and your priorities. If you're trying to figure out which is the right fit for you specifically, I would love to help. You can schedule a call with me in the link below. I also read all the comments, so tell me below, are you leaning towards inside Austin or the suburbs? Hit subscribe if you have not already, because I post every week to help you move to Austin with confidence. I'll see you next time.